In this unit, we'll take a look at some more differences in phonology between inner circle varieties of English and the outer circle varieties of English. The outer circle varieties of English show a distinctive stress and rhythm pattern in their use of English. It is because the speakers of English in the outer circle countries arrive at syllable values based on the conventions followed in their L1. So they assign stresses to different syllables when they speak English, following the same pattern of syllable assignment as is used in their L1s. For example, the stress assignment in a word like biology would be something like this. Biology. So each of these syllables will be equally stressed. Biology. As a result, biology and biology. These two variations of the word are possible. Biology and biology. Although the correct pronunciation should be biology. So instead of biology, the outer circle speakers are likely to say biology or biology. Another example is the word development. The stress assignment by an external outer circle speaker of English would be something like development. So there will be almost equal stress on all the syllables. Development. You may have heard it, people in Pakistan also use this pronunciation. You may have heard many Pakistanis use the same pronunciation for the word development. Although the correct pronunciation should be development. Another distinctive feature of stress and rhythm pattern of outer circle English is that no distinction is made between noun and verb. The stresses are not utilized to make a distinction between nouns and verbs, whereas the inner circle varieties of English or native English speakers use stress to make a distinction between whether a word that they're using is a noun or a verb. For example, the word import, when you say import, it's a verb. And when you put the stress on the first syllable, import, it's a noun. Similarly, the word content, for example, you have the contents of a book, content page for a book, etc. And then we have the word content, which means satisfaction. So when you are using the word as a verb, I'm content with my circumstances, you will use the pronunciation as content, not content. But when you mean the list of topics in a book, then you will say contents. So in a noun, the stress is on the first syllable, whereas in a verb, the stress is on the second syllable. This is a distinction that non-native speakers of English or the outer circle or expanding circle speakers of English fail to make when they speak English. Another feature of the stress and rhythm pattern of outer circle speakers is that they do not use contrastive stress to show what point or what word they want to focus. For example, we often see in Indian Pakistani English a phrase like Jameel only did it, which when they want to put stress or focus on Jameel, they would say Jameel only did it, whereas the correct stress pattern of the sentence should be Jameel did it. But they would not stress the word Jameel, the name Jameel, and would rather use a particle only. As in Urdu, we often say, if we were to translate this in Urdu, we would say Jameel ne hi kiya hai. So instead to replace the word he, they would say Jameel only did it. So this is again a feature especially of Pakistani and Indian English. Then there's another phenomena which is used in phonology, which is practiced in phonology in outer and expanding circle countries, which is called spelling pronunciation. So the speakers would actually pronounce what they see written instead of following the rules for the pronouncing of that word. They will only pronounce the spelling. For example, we have this word which we use in Pakistan also. In fact, we do not have a substitute for this word, plumber. I am sure more than half of the English speakers in Pakistan pronounce this word as plumber. So what they do is they pronounce the medial consonant cluster MB, whereas it should not be pronounced. We only pronounce the M sound. The correct pronunciation is plumber, but the speakers in outer and expanding circle countries go for the spelling. Since there's a B in the spelling, they would pronounce it too. So plumber instead of plumber. Similarly, bomb instead of bomb. And ghost, they would pronounce it as ghost because we have the h sound also, although the correct pronunciation is ghost when h is not pronounced at all. But people from outer and expanding circle countries would definitely pronounce it and say it as ghost instead of ghost. So because of all these distinctive features, we see the pronunciation and accent of speakers of English from outer and expanding circle countries is very different from speakers of English from inner circle countries.